Guys, welcome to the J Scott Outdoors podcast. This is going to be episode number 266 with Wes Torsell of Colorado Tines, and he's going to be shedding some light on elk and deer hunting in Colorado in units 21, 10, 11, 22, 2, 30, 31, 32, 33, 42, 40, 61, and 44, 76, and some others. And it's going to be a great episode to kind of pick his brain. Wes has grown up there in Colorado and knows that country really well. So hopefully you can get some value out of this. I had a podcast listener from the Gunnison Basin send me some information in regards to the Game and Fish staff's 2017 license recommendations for deer and elk. I guess last night they had a meeting there in Gunnison, and there's large cuts in deer licenses for bucks and does. Declining recruitment for the past few years combined with 2017 hard winter. The best way to hold buck ratios closer to the minimum of sex ratio objectives, they are cutting deer tags in uh, let's see, game management 55 and 551, there's a 79% total cut. In game management unit 66 and 67, there's a 59% cut. And in 54, there's a 54% cut. I thought I would go over this chart, and I'm going to try and put this chart on my Instagram page as well. But if you look at unit 54, in 55 and 551 on area elk licenses. For an example, in 2016 there were 350 permits. This year there's 280. Well, let me give you the overall number. This probably better for all of 54. You're looking at last year 1,885 total licenses. There were 1,405 antlered, 480 antlerless. That's going to drop all the way down to 825 antlered, 435 antlerless, for a total of 1,260. So last year there was 1,885. This year there's 1,260. In 2016, so the number this year is 1,260. In 2015, it was 2725 total. In 2014, it was 3325. In 2013, 3765. In 2012, 3875. In 2011, it was 4025. So you can see that from the high of 2010 of 4025 elk permits in area 54, now there's only 1,260. If you look at unit 55 and 551, there was a high in 2010 of total antlered and antlerless elk permits of 4,315. They've dropped that down to 3,195. That kind of gives you an idea there because of this big winter kill that they're looks like they're saying is going to happen. Now for the deer in unit 54, last year there were 470 deer licenses. 470, those were all antlered deer licenses. This year they're dropping it to 215. In unit 55 and 551, there was 620 antlered permits, 195 antlerless, for a total of 815. This year in 55, they're dropping it all the way to 210 total permits. So last year was 815. This year is 210. That's a huge decrease. In units 66 and 67, last year there were 730 total permits, 510 antlered, 220 antlerless permits, and this year, so 730 permits last year, There were 300, there's going to be 300 this year, 260 antlered and 40 antlerless. So they're really giving a haircut on those tags in the Gunnison Basin. So that's too bad. Hopefully the precautionary measures, hopefully, maybe some of those deer can make it through. I know they're getting another storm right now, so it's not looking good there in the Gunnison Basin. Guys, I want to thank you for your support of this podcast. I want to thank my sponsors, Go Hunt Insider, Lorenzo Sartini and his crew over there at Go Hunt Insider have the best resource for Western hunter to figure out and do the research on the units that they want to apply for in all the Western states. And they have the most accurate draw odds of any resource available. If you join the Go Hunt Insider, and you use the J Scott promo code, you're going to get a $50 KUIU gift card just for signing up. Now, you need to use the J Scott promo code to get that, and you will also be eligible for all of the hunts and all of the great gear that they give away over there at Go Hunt Insider. Every single month, there's insider member giveaways, and all you have to do is be an insider member, and you're eligible for that. I also want to thank Jason Hairston with KUIU.com. KUIU makes the best ultralight hunting gear. I also want to thank PhoneScope, Cheston Davis and his crew at phonescope.com. They make the best digiscoping adapters, being able to adapt any phone to any optic, meaning any spotting scope or bino, and you can be taking pictures and photos immediately. Use the JScott16 promo code and you're going to get a 10% discount. And then the Optics Authority, the outdoorsman's in Phoenix, Cody Nelson and his group. If you use the JScott promo code at outdoorsmans.com or call them on the phone at 1-800-291-8065, you're going to get a 10% discount. Guys, thanks for all your support. If you would like to send me a question or a comment, you can do so at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. You can follow along our adventures on Instagram at jscottoutdoors. My associate Dar Colburn at Dar, that's Darr Colburn on Instagram. I've also got a website, jscottoutdoors.com. I've got gouldsturkeyhunt.com, Colburn and Scott Outfitters.com. We're pretty well covered up on the web. You can go check out any one of those resources. But let's get right to this episode with Wes Torsell. Also, guys, don't forget the deadline for Colorado is April 4th. So get online, get those applications in for deer and elk. Hopefully you've been able to gather some information out of all these different Colorado podcast episodes, and you can make a good decision. Get on Go Hunt Insider and figure out where the best place is for you for big game hunting in Colorado. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we have Wes Torsell of Colorado Tines on the line from Fruita, Colorado. Wes, how you doing?
Doing great, Jay.
It's awesome to get to talk to you. We actually had lunch this summer. I spend the summers in Carbondale, Colorado, and you looked me up through Instagram, I believe, and we were able to share a meal, share lunch together this summer, and it was nice to meet you. And if I remember right, you had a big old set of sheds, mule deer sheds. I can't remember if it was a set of sheds or a deadhead that you had found, but a big set, and it was nice to meet you there.
Yeah, it was an honor to come and talk to you. I listened to your podcast from, pretty much from the beginning, and I brought some sheds along. I think a lot of people are getting tired of seeing them on social media, but yeah, I owe you lunch, so we're have to meet up again, definitely.
Sounds good. Wes, tell me a little bit about Colorado Tines and what you do there in Fruita, Colorado, and what your passion is.
Well, I personally started this about nine years ago, but never really got a hold of it, and took what I wanted to do with the outdoors and the passion I had for it. But what we're doing now, fast forward from 9 years ago, I think about 3 years ago, we took some time to see what we really wanted to do, and I gathered a couple buddies of mine, and then it turned into about four guys where we go out and film and take pictures, pretty much sharing what we do in the outdoors. So after that, things kind of took off. I started to get used to things, self-taught, but now we're actually just going on hunts with friends, doing our own hunts, and we're trying to get into the filming industry where the outdoors has a lot of things going on with YouTube and things like that, which I wish I would have started in 2009. But now now this comes around, and we're just pretty much sharing what we do in the outdoors in Colorado.
So Colorado Tines is a YouTube channel, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And on Instagram, it's just Colorado Tines, Tines.
Yes, and we're pretty much on every social media channel out there, and it's it's pretty much we're trying to get the best content, the most quality content out there that we can get, and trying to get awesome hunts on camera.
What is your passion? What are you more passionate about, mule deer or elk?
Both those, it's tough. I mean, the elk wasn't too much into my liking as much as mule deer, because the deer in northwest Colorado is it's one of the best in Colorado, in the nation, actually. So the mule deer caught on to me when I wasn't even really into hunting that much. I hunted all my life, and then I think as soon as I pretty much graduated, didn't graduate college, but I played college baseball, and after that had to move on and get a job. I got a good job where I was in the outdoors all the time, and I was all around these huge deer all the time, and that's where the passion of getting pictures, getting all this stuff with outdoors, and it just came all in.
Nice. And tell the listeners where Fruita, Colorado is and how long have you lived there? You know, that's kind of your base camp. But where is Fruita, Colorado?
Fruita is just a kind of an outskirts of Grand Junction, Colorado. So it's on the west side of Colorado, western slope. It's just a kind of a small town. It's just outside of Grand Junction, so it's kind of what you'd say on the surrounding cities. And north of that of Rangeley is where I'm actually from. I was born and raised in Rangeley, um, and I just transferred jobs. Um, a job I had in Rangeley for 10 years, and I transferred to a parachute office, which I can live in Fruita and drive to the parachute.
So in other words, if I remember right, you're in the oil and gas business of some sort, right?
Yeah, and I've been in the oil and gas for 12 years.
So you're always constantly out driving to all the different rigs and what have you, and hence you're right there all around a lot of mule deer and elk in their habitat, and you're seeing a lot of quality stuff.
Yes, yes, Jay. I think we talked about just with the oil field stuff, and it's it's one of those jobs where I mean I get lucky enough that I don't have to sit in an office. I don't have to do little things like that. I mean, I'm literally in a truck driving around in the best country ever to for somebody like me that loves the outdoors and all that, and I get that opportunity to go out and experience all the wildlife.
What are you seeing as far as winter? I've been watching the snowfall, snow totals and such for my fishing for the summer and keeping track. And it seems like most of Colorado's, 150 to 175% of normal. How is it in the areas that you're, in every day? And, are you thinking there's going to be winter kill or what are your thoughts?
With that, and just as a listener, I've been listening to some of your other podcasts before this, and there's some mixed feelings on that because we've got awesome snow. The snowpack up in the high country has been awesome. I mean, the ski resorts are breaking records this year. Well, now they're not, but they got awesome snow up in the high country. But what I was seeing this year, from last year even, just going from where I transferred, the lower country did not get that much, but the high country, it got into this area where a lot of the high country got dumped on with snow, so much snow. But we had those rainstorms and down below in I think mid January, and the lower country didn't get that much snow. I mean, just with shed hunting, a lot of these lower areas didn't get hit that hard.
What units would you say you're most familiar with, or what areas of the state of Colorado?
Mainly it's the Northwest, where I grew up. My entire life is by Rangeley, Area 21, 22, 10, 11. And those are the most familiar because I was surrounded by all those areas.
What, you talk about 21, 10, 22, 11, 2. What other units are you familiar with?
Um, since I've transferred, I've gone out with Kobe Rose, a partner, and I with Colorado Times, and we've done a lot of exploring southern of Grand Junction, Area 48, 40, Area 61, 60, 70, in those units, just trying to learn as much country as we can. And so, I mean, those units, I've been on a 61 hunt. It was 2 years ago on an archery hunt, and it was that was eye opening for me because Northwest Colorado was. I mean, there's so many roads, so many lease roads that the oil and gas has built, and there's so much access to places in Northwest Colorado. But you get to 61, and there's access all over the place, but you have steep canyons, steep country, and thick country where it's really hard to hunt as well.
What was the quality like in 61 compared to some of the Northwest units as far as the elk?
Well, it was an archery tag. Tyler Matriciano had that tag, and I was with him for 2 days, and it was so thick. We were glassing from canyon to canyon, looking down at these draws, and I'm like, I'm not hiking down that. You got to be kidding me! You're going to go after an elk after? I mean, that far with an archery tag? I don't think so. I mean, it's literally straight up and down country. But there's that unit's so long. I mean, I don't know what the mile is, but that unit is so long, and it's a big unit, but it's a skinny unit.
You mean from north to
Where,
north to south, it's so long.
yeah, north to south, it's a very long unit, and that's what I did with Kobe. We went on a shed trip, just trying to learn new country, and that southern part of that unit is kind of where I'm used to hunting, where it has some of that sagebrush cedars, not deep canyons. I mean, there's 61 has a lot of different areas you can hunt. You can hunt the big ponderosa pines down lower in the canyons. Then you can go move down into the cedar, sagebrush areas.
Okay, what about 40?
40 is a whole different thing because I mean it's right next to where I live, and it's a 5 minute drive, and you're right there. So I've been there a handful of times, but there is a lot of private, and seeing where the good hunting areas would be is pretty much right in the private.
So in other words, 40 is phenomenal, but unless you have access to private property, it's kind of a tough unit for the public to hunt.
Yes, and a lot of the outfitters up there are pretty. I mean, they get a lot of hunters that draw tags, and they pretty much go with an outfitter when they go to that unit.
Okay, what about 21 Northwest?
Uh, 21, it's really popular with elk hunting because it's an over the counter um, for the second, third, and fourth, and the general archery, to where it's pretty popular there. But the deer, I mean, that's what brings a lot of people to Area 21 is the deer.
It's one of the 21's considered one of the best deer units in the state, correct?
Yes, it is, and it's I worked there for that 10 years and all my life, and really just never, I mean, never realized how many what was so popular about it because you see a lot of deer when let's say 6 years ago, but now there's still the deer there, but I mean the age class of bucks is it's it varies. The last like probably 5 years, the age class just isn't there for that trophy unit.
So, I mean, 21 takes a million points to draw. You're saying that the quality has declined for deer?
Yes, I think so. I mean, not the quality, the genetics are there. I mean, 21. You, I mean, they're known for the big typical bucks, and I mean, there's some non-typicals as well. But just with drawing, especially for a non-resident, you're waiting, even just for a muzzleloader tag. I mean, you're waiting 8 years, and then you're moving on to your second season. You're waiting 8, 8, 9, 10 years to be, I mean, pretty much guaranteed. Then you go into third season, and you're up to 19 points. So with that, I mean, it's hard to build that many points as a non-resident with other units you can hunt with that many points. It's a tough go. But I mean, the residents have. I mean, you can draw the 21 with 3 points, and then you can hunt the third season with four, not with four, but with 10. So it's one of those. I mean, it's an awesome hunt. You got so much access to so much. There's huge BLM. I mean, there's little spots of private in there, but you're not gonna get a better BLM. I mean, there's so much BLM that and so much roads, especially with that second season. I've been always told it's like if in that second season you don't hike around, you drive around. It's kind of funny to say that. Like I think we talked about you getting ready for your elk hunt in Utah that you drew, and in 21 for that second season, you're driving around because those deer are moving. I mean, they're traveling 10 miles a day, just going to where they usually migrate to.
And 21 for elk, it's known for deer. 21 for elk is a pretty easy draw. How is it for elk?
It has its ups and downs. I mean, the archery, the elk are really spread out. There's not a lot of elk, but there is elk there, and there's quality elk, but I mean, it takes a lot of work to find them. I mean, the biggest thing is finding the elk, and then to hunt them, and with all the pressure that's there, especially during rifle season, because there's so many deer hunters out there. I'm not sure what they give out for tags for that second season. I think it's around that 130 mark for second season, and most of those people also buy the tags. I mean, buy elk tags along with that deer tag.
So a lot of hunting pressure.
There is a lot of hunting pressure, and it's kind of slowed down in the last couple of years, but with I mean with all the technology with rifles and people like even with Go Hunt, Onyx Maps, all those things, a lot of people are going to these big BLM units with private, and a lot of people are trying to get really close to that private where all those elk get pushed to.
Okay, what about Unit 10?
Unit 10, that's a unit I've been in for 4 years now. No, it's been four. My dad had a tag 4 years ago. A good friend, Gary Denny, he drew a tag. And
What kind of tag? We talking elk? We talking deer? Beef?
Yeah, it's been elk tags. That's a limited entry. All those guys I mentioned took. It takes 20 to 21 points to draw, so that's 21 years. And the elk up there, on your recent podcast, it's one of those where 201 and 2 kind of overshadow 10 a lot because the quality bulls. I mean, all those units in the Northwest, you got 1, 201, 2, and 10. Those units right there, I mean, it's throw something at it and pick a unit. I mean, those units are top notch because it takes 20 years to draw them. So, I mean, all those units are awesome.
If you had to rank them as far as quality for elk, what would be put them in order? If you could draw
Uh,
those tags, which one would you rank them?
uh, Personally, I like 10, but for quality, like if I'm probably halfway to get a chance at one of those tags, minus the hybrid tag, it would be probably 201, 210, and 1.
Okay. And with Chris Rowe, I talked a little bit about the hybrid draw. Explain how that works.
Well, the hybrid draw, it came out, I think it was 5, maybe 4 years ago, which my dad putting in for this draw wasn't very happy because he was on that point creep where he was behind that line of drawing that tag every single year, and he was that one man out every year for I think probably 4 years. But after that, after he drew, then I started to feel good about it because I still have a chance every year if I'm going to put in for every 10 or 2 or 201. So with the hybrid draw, if you have 5 or more points, you get put into a percentage of tags that are drawn. And I believe it's for non-residents as well. But with all the looking on statistics and all that, I really haven't seen that an out-of-state person has drawn because there's so many out-of-state people that put in for these tags. But I do know, actually, Jesse Powell, that's with Colorado Times, he drew the Area 10 archery tag last year.
What was it like?
And the Area 10 archery,
Yeah.
and all the other tags I've had, and well, I haven't had, but I've had the opportunity to go help friends out, have all been rifle, and this was an archery tag. And this kid, well, he's 19. He draws this tag that takes 20 years to get, and he got it with 5 points. And I mean, just going into that, you got to be kidding me. And I mean, the reason he's with Colorado Times, like he works hard. He's very motivated, very positive person. And he went into this hunt full go. He scouted a bunch. We went up there with trips, scouted a lot. I mean, the area 10, there's so many elk and so many bulls that I mean, you go out there and you get this preseason scouting and you start looking at all these bulls, and there's so many nice bulls. I mean, you're seeing in the scouting in the velvet, there's 20, 30 bulls altogether, and there's probably half of them are 300 plus bulls, and you just don't know whether they're gonna end up on private or they're gonna end up on BLM. You have no idea where these elk are gonna go.
What kind of quality is there?
The quality in 10 is, since I mean, I've been there on those rifle hunts and then some of that archery hunt, and the quality, you're going to see, it's kind of a funny joke with that we always have is that's another 300 rag. I mean 300 rag bull. There he is again. Because there's so many quality bulls, and the genetics are really, I mean, they're good, but there's always that one bull that stands out of the whole crowd. And there's been 400 class bulls taken out of that unit in the last 3 years. But to judge on what you're going to get and what you're going to see, I mean, you're going to see anywhere from 390 to 350 bulls quite a bit. It's going to determine whether they're on private or not. But then you have your BLM, where, I mean, these bulls are traveling in small groups. You're going to have one bull with 3 cows. You're going to have another bull with 5 cows. And then you're going to have a bunch of satellite bulls running all over the place. So I'd range it from about, 330 to 360 is, that's what you're probably going to end up trying to go after.
Okay, so far you've said 201, 2, 10, and 1. You just talked about 10. What about Unit 2?
Unit 2, I've been in a handful of times. Never been there during hunting season. It's been during shed season, and I think I went there for summer and checked out some velvet bulls. But the quality there, the interesting thing there with some friends of mine that's hunted it multiple years, is the units. I mean, 10's big, but Unit 2 is really big and it has a lot of BLM. But the diversity on where you can hunt is, I mean, you have ponderosa pines you can hunt on Douglas Mountain. You drop down, and then you're in the high desert with the cedars, sagebrush. Then you can go to Sand Wash, which is it's pretty much sagebrush, patchy cedars. There's so many places you can hunt on that. If you're a older person, which most of the people that draw those tags are older, where I mean they can't hike those miles in the hills like they were when they were younger. So I think with Area 2, it's just the experience that. And actually, we are going to be filming 2 hunts if they are successful on the draw up there this year. So it's going to be excited to go to Area 2 for hunting season.
Okay, and then Unit 1.
Unit 1 I've never been to. I mean, that's a little unit right on the border. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's a little unit, has some national forests, I believe, and the access is pretty much from Utah. And it's what I've heard. It's great, but it's just that little unit that doesn't get that much credit for being such a good unit.
Okay, and then those are kind of your top for elk. What about for deer? What would be your top 5 for deer?
For deer, with the country I know, of course 44 is the top unit in the state, and then behind that, there's so many good units in Colorado. That's Trashy, that buck that Brett Ross killed. I mean, that's on a over. I mean, you can get that with 0 points, and he damn near got a 300-inch deer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy with Colorado because there are so many units I haven't even been to and haven't experienced. So with this, is pretty much just personal hunting myself.
Yeah, so what is
21.
Give me your picks.
So 21 would be the top because I know everything about it, and there are good bucks there. And it'd be like 21, 30, and 40. And I think Area 2 has some really good bucks too. It takes a long time to draw those tags as well.
30 is a unit we haven't talked about. Tell me where that is and what you know about Unit 30.
Unit 30 it borders Utah and 21 as well. Douglas Pass, I think the ridge of Douglas Pass borders those. And it's a good unit. I've hunted it. I haven't hunted it, but I've been in those units during hunting season. And there's a good population of deer. And then you go towards the Beck side into 31, and there's a lot of private in there to where the age class, I think, that's what gets at the good bucks in that unit.
I notice I'm looking at the Go Hunt Insider, the October 21st to October 29th, Unit 30 second rifle season. 2 points for a non-resident is 100% draw. And interesting, 31-32 is 44% draw with 0 points.
Yep, and with 31 and 32, that's where the private property comes into play because there's a lot of oil and gas in those areas, and the access to a lot of these areas is blocked off due to not just oil and gas, but a lot of landowners that have that access to a lot of those areas. And that's why I was telling you, I'm just with the age class because they don't shoot a lot of deer in those outfits. So that's where you get your age class.
So you put number 30, Unit 30 as your second choice for your own units that you like. 21 is number 1, 30 is number 2.
Yeah.
And is it a high country hunt or is it a sagebrush type hunt?
It's almost identical to 21 as country-wise because as soon as you come over the pass, it's kind of the same country. You got your high country you can hunt, but like I said, you got a lot of privates go around. And as you get to the interstate down by the river, there's still some of those good bucks, like in Mac, next to the border in Utah, where there's still going to be those trophy class deer in there, and there's quite a bit of BLM as well.
I noticed they clump um, for the muzzleloader and the archery hunt, I believe. I'm looking at the muzzleloader right now. Let's see here.
And they put those together.
Yeah, they put those together so you can hunt both. I mean, if you had the tag, would you hunt more in 21 or more in 30? Or would it just be wherever you
Uh,
found the biggest buck?
I drew that tag. I think it was 5 years ago. The one and only animal I've shot with my bow, and I've been bow hunting for 6 years. So with that, I would say I was staying on the 21 side, but I did venture off into 30 scouting, and there was some good quality deer in there. And with the Onyx maps, I mean, there's so many. I should have kept it a secret right when they came out in 2009, but that app right there, not the app, but the chip you put in your GPS coming over that pass, there's so many little spots you can park your truck on the side of the road, hike up, and go hunt some awesome country in there for archery. And I wish I would have had that back when I hunted that, but there's just so much little BLM little pieces in there, and there's good quality bucks in there as well.
How's 30 for elk?
30 for it's very popular with the later seasons because a lot of the elk are up on top of Douglas Pass area, and then they start to funnel back down into 30. That's usually where they winter. So if you're driving through on that, I believe it's 139, the highway is. I mean, you drive through there in the winter, and after hunting season, there's thousands of elk all over the place.
And where is that highway? What cities is that near?
It's in between Grand Junction and Rangeley.
Okay. So you're in that real rolly kind of sagebrush, kind of lower, pinyon juniper kind of cedar country.
Yep, and then as it climbs up over Douglas Pass, that's where you get your aspens, your your pines and all that.
One unit I haven't asked you about is like 30, 32 and 31, 32 and 33. What are your thoughts
hmm
on that?
Um, Kobe, like I said, he guides in Quebec, and he's been doing it for quite a long time, and they've killed some really nice bucks. He's personally killed two deer one went over 200 and one that was like 196. One was archery and one was muzzleloader. But like I said, those age class of bucks I mean, they're there. I mean, even they killed a 360 bull 2 years ago when I was up there just doing some filming, and I mean, they kill decent bulls in there as well.
So for deer and elks, pretty good draw, and pretty good.
It's over the it's all over the counter for elk in those units. For deer, it's easy to draw, but like I said, with the outfitters and private property, you're going to have to do a lot of research on that to get around those things.
What about 33?
33, I haven't ventured much in the 33. It's one of those where there's a lot of leftover tags for some reason, and some of it's a lot of third season, which that's one of the units I'd want to kind of go check out. It's one of those units. There's deer in there, but it's one of those that you have to really look around that private property and do some research on.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Go Hunt Insider Unit 33 for non-residents. It's a 100%. So,
Yep.
in essence, you could get a third. You could put Unit 33 as your second choice and draw a third season deer tag on your second choice.
Exactly. But a lot of that is because in area 23 and 24 up by Meeker, a lot of those deer, they end up down there. But that's about the cutoff point on the boundaries to 23 and 24 is where they're coming down to. So a lot of the bucks winter down there, but a lot of them aren't quite there yet. But you still have your resident bucks that still hang out, and it's right there by the river, by the town's rifle still area, where there's good bucks in there. And like I said, you have to do a lot of research around the private.
What about 42?
42, it's like I said, it's still a lot of private. You have the national forest up on top, which is very popular that I've seen. I've seen a lot of hunters in there this year. There was, I mean, camper after camper after camper, and that gets hit hard, hard in archery. But I mean, the quality of deer that I've seen up there is it's it's amazing. But the thing is, I think where they hang out during hunting season is, I mean, almost like elk, where they hang out on private, where they know they're safe. So, in a lot of those areas, on that I-70 corridor, there's a lot of private and a lot of people that don't allow hunting at all. And that's what I've heard with 44. There's a lot of private there that they don't allow hunting at all. So there's a lot of that's where you get your age class. So
Any other units that I haven't mentioned that you think are worth mentioning that you could shed some light on?
uh, I think with that first, a lot of people don't know about that first season um, bull tag for rifle. It's only a 4-day hunt. It's October 14th to the 18th, I believe. Um, and it's a unit. I think the code is out of unit 11, and you can hunt 12 units just by that one hunt. So I forget what the units exactly are, but you can hunt 12 other units if you put in for that. And I'm sure you can look that up on your Go Hunt um, finder and look at Area 11 first season. I'm pretty sure you can draw that every single year.
So explain that to me again. So you're gonna put walk me through this. So you're talking about you can apply for your preference point or your top end units on your first choice, but you're talking about for a second choice.
Yes, for a second choice, it is the hunt code is it's Area 11, so it's for a male, so it's first rifle, and they have that's where you get your first and second seasons from Colorado, because everybody asks, well, what's the first season? And this is the first season bull, and it's bull only or elk only, and then second season that's the first deer rifle season. So with the Area 11 tag, you can hunt in Area 11, 12, 13, 23, 24, 25, 26, 33, 34, 131, 211, 231. And you can choose from all those units from that one hunting tag.
How's the I mean, what makes that a sleeper, do you think?
Because it's an opportunity to draw a tag with somebody that's might be the first time they come elk hunting. Is it's one of those to experience an elk hunt and all those units. It gives you so much range of opportunity to go look at stuff, like you said on Go Hunt Finder, Google Earth, those things. If somebody was really wanting to get into hunting in Colorado, those units right there has the biggest population of elk in all of the whole United States. And to hunt those units, I mean, it's pretty easy going, and it's one of those that first rifle season gets kind of slept on because not a lot of people do it. It's a 4-day hunt, and it's one of those you can usually draw every year on that, either the first choice or the second choice.
You think you can still get some bulls bugling depending on where you go?
Yes, and that's one of those is my wife. That's usually something I put her in for, and we hunted it last year, and it's not an easy hunt at all. I mean, you go out there, you gotta look for the tracks, look for the signs. But I mean, I even knew the unit that we were in, and I knew it very well, but we still had to find where the elk were at that time because they've been pushed around so much from archery and muzzleloader that those elk bounce around quite a bit. So we found where they were. We seen the tracks. We came back. Sure enough, we glassed one up, and then they come back down. We make a chance at it, and she missed a 200-yard shot at a 300 class bull.
Was he
And this is
bugling?
over. Oh yeah, he had cows. There was another bull that was with him. He was just like a small raghorn, and they were bugling, and he was kind of running around the cows. So that's one of those early rifle hunts that you can get for pretty. I mean, for first season for the October 14th to the 18th, you can get.
Do you think a lot of people don't understand that in Colorado you can apply for, upper tier units and then apply for um, a preference point, and then you can get like this exact hunt you're talking about with it doesn't affect their points. In other words, like I have 17 points for elk in Colorado. I could apply for, 61 or 76 or those I guess I not 76 because I would draw it, but units that maybe I'm right on the verge of drawing, but then put or just do a preference point, or I could put in second choice for a hunt like this that you're talking about and get an elk tag virtually every single year.
Yes, I mean that's with so many people. I'm glad Go Hunt came out because I can't. I've gotten so probably the past 10 years. I've got so many phone calls. How do I draw? What does this do? How does this work? Even from family members, and it gets kind of frustrating because you just got to kind of just do little research. And with Go Hunt, that's where it makes a lot of sense. But with just the statistics on, let's say, I think I have just statistics up for area 21 for deer. There's 72 non-residents and even residents, 65, that put in for Area 21 second choice. That's impossible to draw second choice. But then you even go down to third choice, and there's 21 residents that put in for that for third choice, and 33 that put in non-resident for third choice.
And what
That's in
and what
that's
you're
impossible to
saying
draw.
is there's no way to even draw that. So people are just throwing away their options because they don't even know that they don't understand how it works.
Exactly, and that gets so frustrating that you talk to people, I'm willing to help anybody that asks, but when they say I put in for first choice this, second choice this, and I'm like, wait, you put in for a limited tag that you have no chance of getting for your second choice, and then that's where the questions come up, and it's hard to tell them there's no way you're gonna get that tag, and they're like, well, no, it's a second choice. I'm like, no, your first choice is your choice. That's where your points are,
Yeah, so
and your second, third, fourth.
explain that for those listening that haven't listened to some of the other podcasts on Colorado. Walk us through exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so when you put in for Colorado, there's four choices you can put in for elk, deer, antelope, whatever you're putting in for. So the first choice is that's your number one tag you want to draw, whether it be preference points for a limited entry tag. It's not really limited entry, that's Utah, but anything that takes amount of points to put in for, that's your first choice. So for your second choice, those are those units that you can draw without any points at all. Or there's those units that you have a chance to get with second choice.
So in other words,
Like
just to
last,
be clear, the first choice is where your preference points come into play. Once your first choice, you either draw it or don't draw it, then they look at your second choice, and that's where putting in for some of these other hunts that preference points don't come into play, where you can actually draw a tag, but you don't lose your preference points, and you're still, chasing your dream, so to speak, but you can hunt every year.
exactly. So this is what I did last year. I put in for my unit that I wanted to hunt for the first choice, which I have 6 points. So I put in for second choice, and I did archery unit 60. And for the third choice, I put nothing. Fourth, I put nothing. So the draw went. They go through the first choice. They do that draw. The second choice comes around. That's when they do their second draw, and that's where all those tags that weren't drawn by that first choice get thrown to the second choice. So they do that draw, which I drew a unit 60 archery tag for deer. I gained that 7 point. I didn't draw that first choice, and then after the second choice is done, they go to their third. So everything that was left over from the first choice to the second goes to third, and then vice versa. Everything goes down to fourth. So that's how they draw those tags.
How'd you do?
I got the. Oh no, I don't want to talk about that hunt at all. It was not a fun. I'd never been in that unit. Unit 60 is just a small unit right next to the LaSalle Mountains in Utah. A very good unit in Utah for elk and deer. And every time I went to Utah, I saw deer, and every time I went back in Colorado, there was nothing. So
Tough hunt.
it was a tough hunt, and going in there blind, other than Google Earth and information, it was not a fun hunt. But it was a second choice. I didn't have to use my points. So
I want to talk a little bit about digiscoping and filming and what have you, and wondering what kind of equipment you use, and if you could give any tips to people out there, you know, doing the same thing,
okay,
digiscoping and filming.
yeah, and that's what I started out with Colorado Times, is trying to get the best equipment I could use by filming. Because I learned this with my dad's hunt, and I went in there I was wanting to film his hunt, and I got really frustrated with the equipment I had. I was using Times Up, um, their digiscoping cam, which worked awesome, but I just didn't have the camera to do those. I missed his kill shot. I was holding the camera, didn't have a tripod on it, nothing. So after that, I upgraded to a camera. It's a Panasonic 750 camcorder, and as soon as I got that, it was like gold. I mean, this thing has incredible zoom, films in 4K. It's easy to use. So anybody who wants to film their hunts, I mean, it's a pretty expensive camera. It's about $700. Um, but it's one of those cameras, and they have some lower ones. I think the 550 or 570 Panasonic, and that ranges about $300-400. But those cameras, I mean, they're very easy to use. They got good zoom, good scouting tool to zoom up, and then put it on the TV after that and look at stuff. But recently we partnered with PhoneScope, and I was blown away. At first, the first time I got a PhoneScope was with a GoPro, and I hated it. And I took it back to the store. I was like, I don't want this thing. I want to get the top quality footage, but it just wasn't there. But I got the PhoneScope again, and with the iPhone 6, we used it last year on Jesse's hunt a lot, and with Fred's hunt. And a lot of those footage you'll see on our YouTube channel, a lot of that is through a PhoneScope. And I was really impressed with it. And what made it even better this year, they sent us the iPhone 7 Plus case, which I just upgraded right in the middle of hunting season. And I started using that. And the best thing about the PhoneScope iPhone 7 Plus case is the iPhone 7 Plus, you can zoom in 2x. So there's no vignetting at all. And it's still recording in 4K through your optic. So that right there is a total game changer. If you're trying to film something, scout, if you're an outfitter trying to show a hunter that's sitting next to you in the truck, scouting or hunting, where you can see something from the screen right there, it's an awesome tool to have.
So when you say you can two times it. What exactly do you mean? It's like a doubler?
It's a doubler pretty much. So you have, so as soon as you put your phone on a spot and scope or bino, you have that vignetting around it, usually, and then you try to zoom in as far as you can with your spot and scope, and it gets rid of it a little bit. But with the iPhone 7 Plus, you can zoom into 2x as you zoom in while you're filming with your phone, and it doesn't lose any clarity. It's still 4K up to that 2x.
Nice. What did you have before that?
I just had an iPhone 6. It worked great, but you still had to zoom in just a little bit to get rid of that vignetting. And when you're editing film, it sucks to have that vignetting around your shot that you're trying to show. But I mean, that's what those elk that are 500, 600, 800 yards away, where you want to get that extra, just a little bit of zoom. But with the iPhone 7 Plus, you get that 2x zoom.
And you have to video with the camera horizontal, correct? Not vertical in order to get the 4K.
Yeah, and I use the only time I use it vertically is if I'm doing like an Instagram story. I think actually Facebook just came out with an Instagram story, so you can
I
when you
saw
do
that
those,
last night. Facebook, I
yeah,
saw that.
it just happened, and I was like, you got to. I'm glad they did it in a way because it's so much easier just to share just a picture, especially if you're in the outdoors. You follow outdoor people where those stories are fun to look at, and with that, when you have to do it that horizontal or vertically, I guess that's the only way you can do it on Instagram story, and that's what I usually do if I'm out scouting looking for deer or elk, and that's how I usually do the stories on there.
Have you done a story on Facebook yet?
I have not. Well, like I said, I just noticed it yesterday, and I haven't messed around with it much.
I've got to imagine with them owning Instagram, it's a very similar, um, pretty easy to use platform there. On, Instagram stories is easy. I got to assume Facebook made it pretty similar.
Yeah, I think I messed around with it today, but I was kind of looking at other people that were doing it, but I couldn't figure out how because I have a my personal page and then I have my other page, and I couldn't figure out how to do it on like you would on your J Scott. I don't know how your page is set up, but
Yeah, from
um,
what I understand, are they allowing it on business page or is it just on personal pages?
I'm not sure right now. I tried a little bit. I messed around with it, but I wasn't going in too deep with it. Like I said, I looked at it today. I'm like, that's a good feature to have on Facebook, especially for people. I mean, that's where phone scope. That's where the game changer is. I mean, you might look at a piece of plastic or something like that and be like, you're really going to charge me money for that? But it's incredible. I mean, great company. I mean, we just broke one. A friend of mine just broke one, and he asked. I said, just call them or email them. He said, nope. They just said send it in. We'll send you a new one. So, I mean, the customer service is awesome with phone scope as well.
Do you do most of your digiscoping with your phone scope device?
Yeah, and it's been crazy. I've had to like put all my videos, photos, all that stuff on my computer probably like 2 or 3 times a week. I just fill it up.
You fill up the memory in your 7 Plus?
Yeah, and that's where I'm glad it's iPhone. I think we had this conversation at lunch when you were asking about cameras. I said get your iPhone 7. I think the iPhone 7 came out with that 4K video, and we talked about it. And I was like, yeah, get your iPhone 7. But now with the 7 Plus, it's incredible how clear it is. That's what all the new shed hunting videos that we just came out with. That's it's filmed with iPhones. I mean, you don't have to go buy an expensive camera. Just use your phone to film your experiences in outdoors.
Let's talk about this a little bit. You're head over heels on sheds now. I've never really
Oh,
gotten into the shed deal. I mean, the the antlers are gone. They're on the ground. They're just laying there. What is the big fascination with shed hunting?
uh, I've been doing it for 15 years, and
I mean, you're
I've
sick
never.
about it. And guys like yourself, some of you guys would rather shed hunt. I got a friend that would rather shed hunt than actually hunt.
I'm not quite there yet, but I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years, and like, I mean, those before days when not a lot of people were doing it. I mean, those were the days where you go out. I mean, you'd have to bring a backpack to haul them all. Um, I mean, I used to go out and have handfuls of them on any trip,
So,
and now it's you go out there and it's not much. But the why I like it, I mean, it's you're going out hiking. I mean, I don't do a lot of exercise. I'm not a gym guy at all. A lot of people that know me can laugh at this, but I don't go to the gym. I don't work out.
no shirtless
Um,
selfies of you anytime soon?
no, just like I think we ate lunch. You're getting your healthy snacks. I think I just got like an ultimate nacho thing. And you're sitting there, I was like, well, you got to get prepared, I guess. But now hitting the hills with a camera and hitting the hills, doing other things, yeah. But yeah, shed hunting, it's one of those things that go out. I mean, spring, there's nothing better. I mean, going out there, it's spring. I mean, like there's not grass, there's no snakes out. You go walk around. I probably totaled probably 30 miles this year on shed hunting, just walking around.
You found a bunch already?
I haven't found, like I said, I haven't found that many. We almost call it hiking now.
Yeah.
It's
Any
not,
turkeys
we don't,
gobbling yet?
I was going to talk to you about that because your videos that you've just put up got me going a little bit. And turkey hunt opens here in Colorado on April 8th, so 4 days after the big game licenses go in.
Yeah, don't forget
So
if you're listening, the deadline for Colorado game applications is April 4th. Now, do they have to be postmarked or received in Colorado by April 4th? Do you know?
I think it's postmarked for Mellon, but I think my dad is the only one that sends in the mail anymore.
You think he's the only old school out there, old school guy?
Oh,
You can apply online, but a lot of people still do paper apps. But I think there's still a bunch of people that do paper apps.
oh, I'm sure because they're gonna screw my tag up. I want to do it myself. That's what my dad always says. And I'm just like, let me just show you how to do it. I think I showed him one year, and he's like, they'll screw it up. They're gonna screw it up. And I'm like, no, all right. Well, I think your handwriting. Well, he's been doing it for 30 plus years, and he's got every tag he wanted, and every tag we as kids didn't really care. But that's the thing about my dad. He's the funny story about him. He on his bull elk that he drew in area 10. That was his first bull tag ever. Never hunted a bull in his life, and he waited 21 years to hunt a bull, but yet he's killed probably 40 plus cow elk in his life and
Nice.
deer.
I like this guy
And
already.
that's how I grew up.
So does
I
he
had
he
one.
kind of looks at it like it's just kind of nonsense, like let's go kill cows, get meat in the freezer, and or was he just as a function of I want the best premium bull tag whenever I draw, and that's why I'm gonna do, wait for the premium tag, or was it kind of like, yep, I finally drew a bull tag, and let's just get it over with?
Yes, I think so. I mean, we as a kid growing up, we weren't didn't have the most money, didn't have the best clothes, all this, but we always had elk on our plate all the time. Because I think my dad he started hunting deer and figured out there's elk that could put a lot more meat in the freezer. So he started hunting elk, and this is why I'm really mad at my dad. He draws this tag. It takes 21 years, right? So all those years we go out hunting, and us kids are killing these animals. My mom is, and we're getting 2, 3 elk a year in December, and he's putting in for his points for his limited entry tag. So we're pretty much providing for the family, and he's sitting back putting in for points year after year.
Not building
And
your
now,
point, not building your point stack, was he?
it's that no, he's putting us first choice for late season December every single year. I'm sitting back there. As soon as I figured that out, I think I was like middle of high school. I'm like, all these guys are like, yeah, I got like 5 or 6 points for this unit, and I'm like, I just hunt cow elk every year. What am I doing? So as soon as he drew the tag, it kind of hit hard. I'm like, I only have like 8 points, and he got 21. How does that work? So,
That's
if you have
funny.
kids, yeah. So if you have kids, put them in young. Not like me. I was putting meat on the table while my dad's putting in for his bull tag that he got 20 years later.
How do you like to serve your elk?
Uh, a barbecue. My wife's not too much into deer, but she likes elk. So um, I haven't really hunted that much. I've been more filming, so I get a lot of meat given to me after hunts. So um, I like just an elk steak on the grill, salt and pepper. That's it.
Pretty plain, salt and pepper, and
Oh yeah,
m-
and
me-
that's
medium rare, or how do you like it?
I. I'm a well done guy. I don't know, like something
Well
about I
done.
think.
Like run it. Why don't you just run it over with the tire while you're at it?
I know it's one of those things. I think all the years of cutting meat and doing all this, and because we cut our own meat up too. I mean, my dad has his own. He has his own hanging poles, and we lived on 9 acres, and we did everything ourselves. We never. I think he took some to get sausage or sticks made, but other than that, we did all hamburger, all steaks my entire life on the kitchen table. So
Nice. Well, it's been fun having you on today. Appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. And any last thoughts about our conversation with the listeners listening with the applications due on the 4th, any last parting bit of advice for them?
I think, like we said earlier, is just understand how the draw works because I got it up now is where I'm no second choice, third choice. You're pretty much just wasting time with those numbers and just do a little research and you'll find out what units you want to hunt is that first choice. And then what you want to hunt second, that's your second, but it doesn't take the points away. So put in for Colorado. Like I said, this year I started putting in for Utah, and Utah has, here's another thing for Utah is if you're a non-resident, you can put in for all the limited tags. So I kind of just found out that this year, and I'm starting to do that at the age of 30. I think I'm 32. Not the right age to put in for those. So especially for Colorado, you can still hunt almost any unit, well, not any unit, but any animal every year without using points. So just build points, then you can get over the counter archery, which there's a lot of units you can hunt, and a lot of over the counter rifle hunts as well.
It's definitely an opportunity state for sure, and some pretty darn good hunting. Wes, it's been great having you on the podcast. Look forward to seeing you this summer. And congratulations on the success of your YouTube channel and all the hard work you guys put into that. And hats off to your whole team.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jay. And like I said, as a fan of your podcast, it was a pleasure talking to you today. And you can follow any Colorado. Like I said, on social media, everything's there. Our YouTube channel, we're starting to get more videos up there. There's still all of our good hunts in Area 10. Go check those out if you're in that 20 range of drawing. Go check those out, and if you have any questions on Area 10 or 21, anything like that, give me a message on Instagram. I'll talk with you and give whatever help you need.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care. God bless. Okay.
You too, Jay.
All right. Bye.